There we go, testing, testing. How's my audio sounding? I forgot I left my audio off. What a classic intro. We'll wait a little bit. It's a good waiting screen to be on. Can I like crop that out? No, that just shrinks it. Oh, I noticed from my the small amount of singing I did that I do appear to be like slightly behind. So I'm gonna try to see if I can fix that. I think there's some kind of output. Audio, is there any delays? Probably can't fix it from here, can I? I don't have any delay. Oh, I should have captioned as an option if you want to use those, I think. Let me double check that. I'm gonna close my door. Let's see. Filters. I don't have any effect filters. Hold on. Crop. Yes, whatever. Hold on. This should be. There we go. Look at that. Well, no, you can't see it yet, but there we go. Now you can't see the... Anyways, that definitely wasn't ever there. Don't worry about it. I totally legit copy. Don't worry about it. Oh, that's right. I was gonna check. Oh, that's right, that's right. I keep forgetting. Let's see. I know I'm live, but if I enter my own, let me just Turn in the volume there. Set. There's an experimental... No, I don't think. I'll need to add something. Let me know how the audio is. Yeah, that's what I figured. Oh. Well, there's my dad home. Finally. Well, let's keep it waiting too much longer. We were which button is it? There we go. Oh, no, that's the back button. We had 3 Pokemon. And Flash Fire on our Zubat that had Rock Throw as its only attacking move. Star Us. Oh, that's such a terrible name. Okay. Well, you don't have any water type moves, so thanks. But you do have a lot of HP, which is very nice. Okay. Like, you're level 5, but you have more HP than either of my other guys. So start training you up. Hello? Oh, no, I'm not a trainer. That's right. If trainers lock eyes, it's a challenge to battle. If you don't want to battle, stay out of their sight. I remember this kid in my other Emerald randomized Nuzlocke that I did. I never did on stream, but he had like a Ho-Oh and it was insane. So let's see what leaving footprints in the sand is so fun. Let's hope we have better luck this time. Rich girl Billy, good for her. Cacturn. Okay. Okay, not terrible. Oh, that's really bad. Oh, thank God it poisoned. That means I can heal and it will die next turn. Or this turn, thank God. Problem is, Wobbuffet doesn't... Oh, I meant to have it. Well, that's fine. Wobbuffet doesn't really learn any other moves, does it? Doesn't really learn moves from leveling up. Ooh, a crit. Nice. Dun dun dun. Ow, kinda rude. Okay, that means I need to do... Well, I need to go heal first of all. Like, ow. Jesus. That poison was so lucky, because otherwise I would have probably had to try to heal Wobbuffet, or sorry, Wa-Entree, and hope that he didn't do that again. Terrifying. That's right, I can run indoors, can't I? My totally legitimate Pokemon copy allows me to do that. Also, this chair is way too short. Give me a second. There we go, much better. Okay, so we already got our encounter for this area. And it was a Wobbuffet, of all things. Do I have any... How many Pokeballs do I have? I have 3. I'll probably buy some more. But first... The sea, huh? Wonder what it's like at the bottom of the sea. Oh, okay. I thought there was like a fisherman here, but I guess not. Instead there's you? Seaside Cottages, where Mr. Briny lives. He was once a mighty sailor who never feared the sea, however stormy. Okay. Hold on a moment. I thought the dog was pawing at my door. Let's see. And then because let's see. This battle could be tough because oh sure, I'll accept your challenge. I have a lot of money. I don't know what voice I was gonna try to give that guy, but he normally has a high-level Zigzagoon. Performer Winston would like to battle. This time he has a high-level Wigglytuff. Okay, nice. Perfect. It's not very effective. Oh, that crit too? Jeez. Oh, if this is its only move though, that is unfortunate for him. Come on! Okay, thank God that didn't hurt too bad. Just Aeroblast it. We're better off hunting for poison with that. Oh my god. Oh, that's right. Ugh. This is also why he can be annoying. Okay, now we switch out. Jesus. Doesn't that have like a 50% chance to bear it to arm thrust? Razor Leaf. Signal Beam. Okay, Susie is really strong against this. Meow meow. So I actually meant to stream this yesterday, but I had been up all night for reasons. That reason being I decided to watch all of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated for some reason. Don't blame me too much. It's a wild show. They have a character named Hot Dog Water, and she's the best character in the show. They actually give a reason why Scooby can talk, and it's actually really good. And I'm not going to say it because I don't want to spoil the show, because you guys should go watch it. Ba-na-ba-na. Are you finally? No, you're not. I was about to say, are you finally gonna get another move? But hey, at least rock, you know, rock type's a pretty decent type to be attacking with. Okay, let's go buy some more Pokeballs. Dun, 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 dun. But you know, that's just my life, jumping from one hyperfixation to another. Dun, dun. There. Hold on, I'm trying to do something. I don't think I can do it. That's fine. Okay, good. We're doing good on our stats stuff. Boring nerd shit. Stored your Pokemon to full health. We hope to see you again. But yeah, it's a wild show. Trying to think of stuff that I can say without spoiling it, because I definitely don't want to spoil it. We'll just buy 4. And how many potions do we have? We can use 2 more. And then, oh well, I might as well buy 1. One of all of these. Oh yeah, they made the X items like super broken later. Apparently, since I think Let's Go, they increased the stat by 2 stages instead. So that's what speedrunners use, cause it's busted as hell. Anyways, time for our next encounter. Doo-doo. Well, hello. What are you up to, young man? Sometimes there are things on the ground, even if you can't see them. So I always check where I'm walking. Yeah, I wonder if there's. I found a. Oh my god. That's gonna come in. Oh wait, actually, I should give that to Susie, cause she already has. She has double team. Oh my god. Wonderful. I've found a way to make Zubat even more annoying. Let's see what we get. Yo, it's a fucking Mudkip. Let's go. Wow, you're not very good at catching Pokemon. Let's just switch to. Do I have anything that can inflict status besides poison? Oh, ow! That's a lot of damage for Clamp. Let's... No, don't kill it. Yo, I heard you like Mudkips. You heard correctly, I do indeed enjoy a good Mudkip from time to time. Okay, that's its only move that it has. We should survive another Clamp, so let's just throw a... What are the chances, though? Wow. Wait! No! It's gonna have Rock Throw now! Dang it. Oh, and that's really bad for me. Oh, a good thing I bought those potions. Let's use double team a couple times. Oh, this is gonna be horrendous for this poor Mudkip. Hopefully. Oh, well, never mind. It just gets lucky. I'm freed from Clamp. Okay, then I'm gonna switch to Stardust, because that has Recover. You can never be too careful. Especially in a wild Nuzlocke like this. Wait, does she? No, she doesn't. She has Recover, Sacred Fire... Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Happy to see you. Yeah. Definitely. What are you working on, if you don't mind me asking? And you don't have to answer that, of course. Oh, I'm good. Thanks. No. What is with this catch rate? It's a mudkip, for heaven's sake. Do they have the catch rates for starters lower than regular Pokemon? I wouldn't think so. Get in the Pokeball, please. Fuck, 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 fuck. Ah, that explains it. Well, we'll try. We'll hope. Last Pokeball. And then it's gone. Here we go. Come on, Mudkip. Now another Pokemon that can actually evolve. No! How could you do this to me? Alright. Well, first we're gonna recover. Jeez, that's rough. Oh, okay, cool. Oh yeah, food. Food good. And... adios, Mudkip. It was nice knowing you. You gave me no experience. Dun, 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 dun. But yeah, I hope Oh, you're a thief if you try to steal someone else's Pokemon. Alright, sheesh. What? Well... you know, I'm probably not going to use a Latios or Latias if I run into one. I guess that depends on, like, how the rest of the Nuzlocke goes. But, you know, if I run into one, I have a Soldew now. What an item to just randomly find. Free Calm Mind. They really thought giving a Pokemon a Free Calm Mind was good. It's so wild. Let's see what else we could have gotten. Okay. And I think I have trapping abilities turned off, because those are just bullshit in the run like Nuzlocke. Got a whole bunch of Pokemon. Go, go, go! My bug Pokemon team! Let's see. These guys can be nasty, so let's see what this bug trainer has. Or, I guess, fan. Hoot hoot, okay. Not too terrifying yet. Oh, it's level 3. What am I doing using this on it? A nice 1 damage. I think... Voodoo. Alright, well... This Drevis, okay, I should be fine? Nice. Imagine if that's... I think that might be its only attacking move. That's kind of funny. God, Misdreavus is such a good design. Might be one of my favorite ghosts. I just don't like Miss Magius very much. They did something weird with her. Oh, I meant to turn off, nah, it's just fine. I'll do that after this battle. Thank God I have Razor Leaf on her. On them, sorry. Well... has Flash Fire? It has Mega Drain? Okay, Mega Drain's probably its only attacking move though. So, oh, and it does no damage. Okay, so we can switch to Susie, who will take no damage from the Mega Drains. What's the chance after like Bright Powder and one double team boost? If this seems cheap, it is. Probably shouldn't do this too much though. Nice. Oh, my attack missed. Well, I'm glad we have the Soul Dew and not this guy. That's all I have to say. Well, I guess a Soul Dew. Take an Aeroblast to the face, nerd. Nice. Boom. And Lantern, okay. I like Lantern. Is it still the only water electric type? Outside of... oh no, there's that Rotom. Does Poison Fang even poison in this gen? Wabam! Because I have not gotten a single Poison Fang to badly poison, or poison at all, honestly. I have all these Pokemon, but I couldn't win. Yeah, you had a freaking Latios, my dude. Terrified me. How dare you taunt me? Why would you do this to me? You laugh in my face. Taunting me with the Mudkips. I found a hard stone. Funny joke. I was gonna say I should save. I should. I'm gonna go back and heal. That's probably my best bet. I don't really need to get any more potions right now because I do have Sporin Berries still, and those will heal for quite a bit. I'll put those on my other two guys. Because this guy coming up could be a problem, because I think he only has one Pokemon? Don't remember though. Give an Oranberry to him, and give an Oranberry to them. Okay. Also, if anybody has like any name ideas, so that I don't continue to name my Pokemon horrible puns, let me know when I get a new. Well, hopefully I'll get a new mon sometime soon. Just not in this area. All right. Not a one to be found. Hello, have you seen any Pokemon called Shroomish around here? Really love that Pokemon. I was going to ambush you, but you had to dawdle in Palborg words forever, didn't you? Got sick of waiting, so here I am. You, Devon researcher, hand over those papers. Yay! Oh, my voice is dying. Sorry. You're a Pokemon trainer, aren't you? You've got to help me, please. Huh? What do you think you're doing? What? You're gonna protect him? No one who crosses Team Magma gets any mercy. Not even a kid. Come and battle me. Boss Grunt sent out Clamperl. Okay. Let's see if we can finally get poisoned. No? Okay. We're gonna have to keep going for it, I guess. I thought it was like a 50% chance. They might have changed that later, though. Okay. This is just the most annoying Clamperl, huh? There we go. Badly poisoned. Let's go. Huh? Sheesh. Chill. A bit rude. Wow, and none of my other guys can switch into that. Oh wow, I forgot that. Do berries really activate that early this gen? Dang. Why does this Clamperl? Oh jeez. Only have. Oh great. I think I survived one more. Okay, good. Swabluff only has physical moves, doesn't it? Well, good job, I missed. It should be dead from poison next turn, regardless of if I get this off or not. Jeez, that Clamperl was kind of terrifying. You're kidding me, you're tough. Boss Grunt. What a name. I kind of love it. So is his name Grunt and he's a boss, or? Either way, I love it. Grr, you've got some nerve meddling with Team Magma. Come on, battle me again. Wish I could say that, but I'm out of Pokemon. And hey, we of Team Magma are also after something in Rustboro. I'll let you go today. Woo, that was awfully close. Thanks to you, you didn't rob me of these important papers. I know, I'll give you a great ball as my thanks. Dun 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 dun. Didn't that Team Magma thug say they were after something in Rustboro too? Uh-oh, it's a crisis. I can't be wasting time. Bye, Shroomish man. Bye, Shroom boy. I too like Shroomish. It is a good little lad. And Breloom is strong. And very cute. And it has a hat. I appreciate its hat. Okay, let's heal. Let's get some more Pokeballs. Da da da. Ba-da-ba-do, ba-da-ba-do. Oh, well, I can only get 2, so... Well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Ah, well, it's fine. It's fine. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure there won't be any repercussions for this decision. I'm sure I won't regret that. But I guess we'll find out if I do regret that. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Say yourself. Oh, so cute. Oh, hey Jess, or hey Jay-Z. How are ya? Welcome in. We're, suffering. What is with all these water types here? Let's see how much Razor Leaf does to it. There's been Mudkip, Slowking, and now Croconaw. And the guy we fought had a Clamperl. Damn. I'm doing good. We're just doing some more of this crazy randomized Nuzlocke. Oh, there, your Pokemon doing okay? If Pokemon are weak and you want to avoid battles, you just stay out of tall grass. Thanks, bro. Maybe Team Aqua's already taken over this area. But yeah, I'm doing good. I got some sleep. I meant to stream yesterday, but I did not sleep at all. So, I know, I'm very hypercritical when I told you to sleep the night prior. Speaking of which, I hope my terrible karaoke helped you get to sleep somehow. Alright, another bug trainer. Let's see what they got. Oh. Oh my god. What are the chances? I'm sorry, little brother. You must die. Goodbye. Damn. So harsh. Such is Pokemon, though. Can't be popular if I lose. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Surprisingly did? I'm glad. I know you were awake later in the stream. And I know, I recently checked back through it, and I know I was, like, super off time. Let's see, what team are you gonna give me? I like filling my mouth with seeds, and then spitting them out fast. You can have this, so try it out. Using the Pokemon will learn a move for firing seeds rapidly. I don't think it's Bullet Seed. Word of advice. TM, Technical Machine, is only good for one-time use. Once you use it, it's gone. Let's see what, hold on. Signal Beam. I wonder who can learn it in our group. Okay, so everyone but Susie. Oh, that's rough. But yeah, I noticed it was like off time. I don't know if that's like because it was setting or something. Maybe that's just how it is, unfortunately. I wanted to see. If there's like any delay, but I didn't see any delay. So who knows, maybe I'll do some karaoke, some horrible karaoke streams in the future. Let's see. But I'm glad it helped you get some sleep. I hope you weren't too tired when you had to get up at 8 to do that, to go to your job, which is rough. Or you said you had to get up at 8? Was it for a job or was it for school or something? I can't remember. Job. Gross. I'm gonna be looking for one of those soon. We're trying to. Your name is? Z, that's a nice name. Good, I'm glad. These grow on trees. Take some berries, be sure to plant one in the loamy soil again. I think she gives me. Please help me, Z. Okay, I'm trying. Oh no, it's her. Come here. Hello! The more attention you give to flowers, the more beautifully they'll bloom. You can have this. Yeah. Big yell, big scream. Oh, another thing, if you don't pick berries for a while, they'll drop off into the ground, but they'll sprout again. Isn't that awesome? It's like they have the will to live. Oh my gosh, I forget, it's like crazy times for you. I should do some streams that are at a better time for you. But I'm glad that it was calming for you. No. No. Alright, let's see. what our encounter is gonna be here. Oh, look at that! Let's go! That's such a cute Pokemon. Let's use Steel Wing. That shouldn't do too much. Oh, money! Let's go. All right. Oh. Let's try the Great Ball first. Best odds of success. Dun, 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 dun. Wow. I know. I'll name it after you if I get it. Wait, that wasn't super effective? Is Beat Up normal type? Beat Up's normal type in this generation, I guess. Which is funny because the only reason it's ever used is because it's Dark type in later gens. Come on. Come on. No, I gotta... Oh wait. It is a male Umbreon, but you said you use your gender fluid, so that's fine, right? I'll definitely name something after you, even if we don't catch this, though. I do want to name... No! Unfortunate. So sad. I have to kill it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. F in the chat for my boy. We salute you, Umbreon. I'm so sorry. Listen, we had to kill a Mudkip right earlier, so we have not been having much luck. A Lumberry, ooh. I know, I know. Is that your favorite Pokemon? I'm sorry if that is. Oh, what is up with... Alright, I'm going with the, my headcanon is that Team Aqua's already taken over. There's so many water types. I know, I'm so sorry. I ran out. Spell tag. There's so many hidden items up here. I think there's one here as well. Nope. Oh no, I'm so sorry. It had to be done. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a good favorite though. It's a good little guy. I'm so sorry though. We'll remember it. Yes, okay. I know about double battles. I know about double battles. I know about double battles. Please set me free. You must have been fated to meet. May I ask you for a battle? Dun, 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 dun. Uh-oh, what do you have? Okay. Oh no, it's the Elite Four with a Sandstream Charmeleon. Oh wow. Well, let's see what it has move-wise. Okay, well, you have to switch. Because all of Star Us's moves are not effective on it. So let's go to Susie. Oh, that's annoying. Feel like a fish not in the water. I'm sorry. Does that mean you're sympathetic to Team Aqua? How terrible. Stop healing. Oh my god. This might take a while. Let's see how much rock throw does. Okay, about a little over half. So if it uses bind again, we should kill it. It's probably not going to, but the Umbreon shall be remembered. You stop that. I don't think Soft Boy does too much PP though, thankfully. I don't remember though. I know, I'm so sorry. I know, F. Here, I'll contribute as well. Truly. Oh, nice, I'm faster than it. Let's go. Alright, nice. Oh my! Wow, I can't believe we defeated the Elite Four already. What do you have to say for yourself? Hello is the beginning of goodbye. I hope we meet again. Poet. Should I or shouldn't I? Okay, sure, I will bow. I don't think I gave that the right intonation. Or something. Big words. Big words hard. Fucking hell. Drought. What is Charizard Y doing here? Let me recover and just see what it has, cause dear God. Okay, Feather Dance. Okay. What is what? Why is Charizard Y here? I'm gonna scout for its moves a little longer. This is gonna do no damage, but water gun. Okay. What's Charizard Y doing in this game? Okay, let's switch to Suzy. Suzy should be able to one-hit KO it with Rock Throw. Even through a Feather Dance? Maybe. That might make it a two-hit KO. Oh, good job. Nice, okay, two-hit KO. Freaking Drought Charizard. I just realized it's Drought Charizard with Water Gun, so it's weakening its only attacking move. That's kind of funny. I kind of love it. Nice. Suzy, you gonna learn any more moves? Stomp. Okay, I'll take it. Bye. No. You stop that. Why are there so many legendaries? This is the second legendary I've run into this stream. Stop it. Please. Oh, that's gonna be annoying. That doesn't have a very good chance to poison though, does it? I had to say something. We ran into Latios first, and now we're running into Zapdos. Just all the Oses. Oh well, at least I have this. Let's just do that. Huh. Don't like that much. Do not like that. Please do not. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Nice. One more turn of poison and an attack should probably take it down. Yeah, listen, okay? I didn't have a choice. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Umbreon. I'm sorry. Okay, there goes Zapdos. Nice, let's go. Lots of experience. Unfortunately, Wobbuffet doesn't learn any new moves. Like, ever, I think. Yeah, we're gonna have to have it be Suzy and Entree that take on this double battle. Oh, wait, hold on. I thought there was a, hold on, give me a sec. I thought there was a, maybe that's an no, hold on. No, yeah, that's an Emerald, I think. I know it says Emerald, but there's not like a Ruby or Sapphire. Oh. Okay, let's battle with our Pokemon. This is probably a bad idea. I could have just run past them and healed, but we'll see how bad. Gina and Mia. Senior and Junior. See what I mean? Team Aqua has already taken over. Ah! Oh, thank God. That scared me. Thank God it was from Meryl. Not too much experience, but losing upsets me. Yeah, get punked, kid. Get dunked on. Big guy is strong. We have to train lots more. We will train our Pokemon more and be strong like you. Okay, let's heal. Let's heal. Heal, 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 heal. Please. Do 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 do. I don't know why I always get hiccups when I stream. It's very weird. Maybe it's because I'm talking more than I'm used to. Finished up. Nice. What was it, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, my Yubi, you're a new face. Da da da. No, I did not. Determined expression, the limber way you move, and you're well trained to Pokemon. You're obviously a skill trainer. No, don't wait. No, wait. Don't say a word. I can tell just by looking at you. I'm sure you'll be capable of putting this HM to good use. Go on and take it. Do, 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 do. Thanks. It's cut. HM is the one that can be the one thing that you shouldn't eat. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And what would that be? Okay, let's go train up a bit more. I want Susie to... Yeah, don't overdo it. Get some water. Okay, let's see. Oh, this old lady gives you... If you see berries growing, loamy soil, feel free to take them. Make sure you plant a berry in the same spot. That's common courtesy. Here, I'll share this one with you. Chesto berry. Nice. Well, you look, you must be a trainer, no? Trainers often make Pokemon hold berries. It's up to you whether to grow berries or use them. Lepa berries. Probably won't have to use these too much, but those are definitely really good to have. And cherry berries. Yeah, go get some water. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, Jay-Z. Don't overdo it. Let's see what you got, fishy. Why keep it a secret? I'm the water Pokemon expert. Huh? You don't know me? This guy's secretly a Team Aqua operative, obviously. And he's an artist. Uh-oh. I am worried because dragon types usually only have one move at low levels. Oh, thank God. I was worried it was going to be Dragon Rage coming my way. But maybe... I think... There was like an unfair move shuffle something. You're stealing my bright powder, you bitch! Oh no, that didn't work, thank God. Okay, we're gonna set up some double teams, because we're cheap as hell. Oh, this might take a while. How much is Rock Throw gonna do? Stop that. How are you still hitting those? That is +6 defense. Okay. Well, fine. Two can play that game. Oh, okay, cool. It has Rock Throw as well. I should use Stomp more, because... Oh, nice, a crit. Let's go. Good job, Susie. Vibrava. Oh my god, I love I think Flygon's my favorite Pokemon. Nice, good. I think I like Vibrava the least out of the line, though. It's just kind of compared to Trapinch is super cute and Flygon's super cool, and then Vibrava is like the weird, like puberty stage. Which, I mean, I still like it, but you know, not as much as the others. Okay. What level does Zubat evolve? I feel like saying it's like 16? Oh, hold on. Let's see what we got over here. A yellow shard, okay. That can be turned in for a Thunderstone later, I think. Not bad. Just because I... Oof. Poof. Welcome back. I hope the spice has gone down somewhat. Take your time, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, don't worry, you don't have to run. I am, let's see. Let's check out the trainer school. I think you get an item from there if you talk to the old man. He says he hits people with the quick claw. Students who don't study get a little taste of my quick claw. Whether or not you are a good student will be evident from the way you use this item. Thanks. Pokemon holding the quick claw will occasionally speed up and get to move before its opponent. There are many other items that are meant to be held by Pokemon. Just those alone will give you many topics to study. I don't know why I did that. This house is weird. Why is it like this? What is it? Roxanne, the gym leader, really knows a lot about Pokemon. She's really strong, too. Trainer school is excellent. If you study there, you could even become a gym leader. Nah, you're aiming your sights too low. Pokemon you get in trade from someone grows fast. Oh yeah, I get you now. What did you eat? Taking the Pokemon Gym Challenge. I think... I know we could go past here and get another encounter, but we could also just do the gym leader. I think we're just gonna do that. I don't want to overlevel, and I think we're about... Spicy food, okay. Alright. I get you. I used to be really bad with spice. I think I've told this story on stream. Once. I don't remember what I was getting punished for, but my dad, he took one of those hot sauce pot, and it was literally like the hot flavor hot sauce. And he dropped a drop of it on my tongue as punishment. No trainer, not me, but I can sure give you winning advice. That's so then, we aim for the Pokemon Championship together. I love this guy. This guy is your hype man, and I love him. He's always so good. I like spicy food a lot more now, but I used to be really bad about it. It's your job as a trainer to collect gym badges, am I right? But gym leaders aren't pushovers. That's where I come in. I'm here to provide expert advice. Roxanne, the gym leader, is a user of Rock-type Pokemon. Maybe. Who knows? Rock-type is very durable, but can't stand water and Grass-type moves. Come see me afterwards if you beat the gym leader. Well, go for it. Alright, let's... I've liked it a lot more, too. Don't take us gym trainers lightly. I'll show you why we're better. Okay, sheesh. Rich girl Josh, good for her. See, what is this? There's been so many. This is the second Octillery I've run into, I think. There's so many water types. Yeah, and the other one had Peck too. Also, this Starmie is, like, really good. Having Recover is probably one of the best things you can have in, like, a Nuzlocke like this. Do, 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 do. Na, 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 na. Poliwhirl. Let's stay in, actually. Just Razor Leaf it. Ooh, almost. That's annoying. Come on. I had to say something. Well, that shouldn't be too much of an issue with Recover. Yep, yep, yep. Oh, Jessica! No! Jessica, look! I'm sorry. Look. Look who it is. I'm so sorry. Look who's back to get revenge so soon. I have to, it's an enemy Pokemon, I have to take it down. I know. Look, it's giving us free money though. Is it? It's so kind, it's giving us free money. What is the accuracy on Sacred Fire? I feel like it's 90 or something like that. I'm sorry, I know. We have to do this. We must. We're not Team Rocket, we can't steal it from them, unfortunately. I know. What are the odds, though? Like, oof. Okay. Say goodbye once again. I'm sorry. You tried your best. Oh. Okay, we switch that for that. And we go heal. Your favorite Pokemon appears twice in the span of 10 minutes. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sure Flygon will appear and I'll feel really sad eventually. I had no choice, I'm sorry. What, did you want me to just end the run there? To just die to the Umbreon? Listen, listen, it was another trainers that time. Should we do... oh. Yes. Fair enough. I appreciate your honesty. Rich girl Tommy, alright. I'm our way. Oh, Kabuto. Such a little cutie. Now take the Sludge Bomb. Oh, well I guess we're staying in. Huh. Well, my best bet now is to Poison Fang and get... Nope. Okay. Well, you should have enough health to last a while. There we go. That's what we had to hunt for. Literally every I mean, it makes sense for every battle with Wobbuffet to be this long drawn-out thing. Jeez, when is bind going away? I know. It's toxic too. So we're getting some major damage on it. Okay. Let's switch to Susie. Just so we don't take that much damage from Razor Leaf. Susie, yeah. Listen, I couldn't think of a name for a Zubat, and also evolutions are randomized, so I don't know what it's gonna turn into. If I Alright, let's finish it off. How is Kabuto faster? What the heck? Okay, thank you. I kinda wish I named it Zuzi, like swapping the Z and the S, because it's a Zubat, but I did not. And it is very unfortunate. Alright, now it is time for the gym leader. Ha 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 ha. I'm terrified. Ha ha ha. Let's see, what do we have in our bag? Give you an orange berry. Alright. Let's see how it goes. I think we're a little lower than her in levels, but I'm gonna try. Become the gym leader so I can apply what I learned at the Pokemon Trainer School in battle. Would you kindly demonstrate how you battle and with which Pokemon? Let's see how bad of an idea this is. Two Pokemon, okay? Okay. Oh, okay, you're gonna head out? Ah! Eh! Stop that! Why would you do that? Oh, okay. Oh, that's what you meant. Okay. But Jesus Christ. Gave me a heart attack. Freaking Fissure. This is the second time I've run into Fissure in this run. The first time it was a Relicanth. Oh, and she's a poet. That I like. Yeah. So, yeah, I need to see better. But I have a bright powder on Susie as well. Okay. So, her evasiveness is already pretty high, and potion. Okay. Dun 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 dun. Oh jeez, she's gonna use all her potions on her first Pokemon. It's so annoying. Okay. Okay, but yeah, I have the bright powder on Susie as well, so the opponent does not have very good chances of hitting her. But Rock Throw also doesn't have great accuracy. Okay, thank God. A freaking heart attack. Fissure? Why Fissure? Fissure. Really? Really? Okay. Okay. I was like, boy, I sure hope Dustox is the worst thing on her team. Boy. That might just one-shot Susie. Stop that. Why is there a Rayquaza? No, 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 no. No. My starter. Rest in peace, Susie. Okay, let's try to poison it. Okay. Jesus Christ! What in God's name? Okay, yes, please keep using that. Also, fuck you. Why did you kill my starter? It was she was trying her best. Okay. Oh. That was... Yeah, I don't know if you could call it a scream either. I don't know what you would call that. Well... Well, there goes our starter. And now it's just taunting me. Which I guess is better than it, like, coming out with some terrifying other move. But seriously, frickin' Rayquaza? And of course, its one attacking move is Icy Wind, and it one-shots my starter. It's just how these runs go. I don't know what... that was more of a cry of despair. We were definitely underleveled for this, but... Rayquaza? At least that's all out of experience. Yay. So, I lost. Seems that I still have much to learn. My heart is still racing. Jesus, I understand. Pokemon League's rules state that if the trainers are to be given this if they defeat a gym leader. Please accept the official Pokemon League Stone Badge. 1500 Poke. Yeah. Hey, we got the Stone Badge. We only lost one Pokemon for it. The Stone Badge heightens the attack power of your Pokemon. It also enables them to use the HM move Cut outside of battle. Please take this with you too. It's not Rock Tomb. Probably. The TM does not contain Rock Tomb. Not only inflicts damage but lower speed. Well, I guess Icy Wind does the same thing, huh? TM can only be used once, so think before you use it. Susie, you carried us through the beginning. For that I salute you. You met your fate before your... What a breathtaking victory. My cheering must have worked. Great, check your trainer card. The Stone Badge you got should have been properly recorded on it. Yep. Jessica uses a mean look. The opposing Pokemon can no longer escape. Did my rival already beat this? Oh, that's right. Your rival kind of doesn't... to lose the starter so soon. Ah, it hurts. Get out of the way. Wait, please, don't take my goods. Such is life. Susie, you were... You were a Zubat among Zubats. Listen, there's not too many eyes moves, okay? There's not too many... Listen, would you rather it be baby doll eyes? There's not enough graveyard. We'll just call it the grave. No, what? Actually, you know what? No. They deserve better. Susie, you will be dearly missed. Wait, what is wallpaper? Hold on. I was certain there was a, Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Okay, fair enough. Well... And then... there were two. A sad day. A sad day indeed. Let's see what we got for her sacrifice. You know what? Me too. I'm frustrated too. Alright. We should teach somebody cut. Let's see. I don't remember how if the HMs have... Okay, I think I gave them full, We'll teach Wa entree cut. He needs a move that has a lot of PP, honestly. We'll forget Sludge Bomb. I know, poor Susie. She will be remembered. Now I need to go back to the PC or the Pokemon Center to heal my Pokemon. I will make sure to not leave mine underleveled, but also you can't really prepare for a Rayquaza. Susie really carried the gym. She was the only one who could take down the Dustox without risking a fissure. And she still had to walk the line then. Spring occasion like walking on the road. You never know in wild Pokemon what people... It's full of suspense, just like suspenders. An ether. Okay, good. Well, we do have a new route. How many Pokeballs do we have? I don't think we have any. Yeah, we don't have any. Let's go buy some. Gone before we truly could see her potential. Oh, this is the wrong place. Who knows? Maybe we'll run into her later. We probably won't even know though, because random evolutions are randomized, so we don't know what she'll evolve into. Maybe, yeah, it was for taking out the, it's for taking out the, yeah, taking out the Umbreon. Oh, I meant to buy two. Listen, I wanted to catch it, I really did. The Pokegod said no. You shall not. Oh, wait, hold on. Is there something hidden over there? Maybe. No. Let's... Okay, we need all the help we can get, so let's see what we get here. Ooh! A shell bell? That's pretty good actually. Hold on, I'm gonna put that on I know Wabi doesn't do too much damage, but you know, it'll add up over time. And Star already has recover, so they're good. I should have named Starmie after you, because Starmie has no gender, so no gender, all gender. Gender? I hardly even know her. A fantastic trainer who helped me in Petalburg Woods. Yes, I use that joke a lot. Help me, I was robbed by a Teague Magma. I have to get the Devon goods back. If I don't, I'm gonna be in serious trouble. Alright. Well, let's see what we get on this route. What do we run into? Huh? Well, I'll try. Okay. See you later then. But yeah, I'll probably still be going. I want to do a longer stream for this. Cut? Oh yeah, cut is 95 accuracy. Okay, that's just rude. Does each twin needle have a chance to poison? That would be annoying. I'll miss you so much. I'm gonna be very sad. I will be crying until you get back. Guess no encounter for this route. Thanks, Wantre. You really had to. Thanks for that. My bug Pokemon are tough. Let's battle. At least we have a cave coming up as well, so it's not too bad. Let's just go with Cut. His attack isn't too bad. There goes Chansey. So unfortunate. Nice, good battle. I need to turn it off a set. You know, Torchic having Egg Bomb makes a lot of sense. I wish that move was better. It's such a bad move. Porygon 2. Oh, I love Porygon 2. I don't know if I like it or Porygon Z more, honestly. They're both really cool. I love the Porygon line. They're such a cool and unique design. Cyberducks. Why does every Pokemon have that move? I guess I kinda reordered the... I had it reorder the damage somewhat? I think almost every time that's poisoned me. You hate to see it. Pichu. We should be fine even if it has something. Plus I need to heal a bit. That's so good, Star, having that. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Ow. Okay, I get it. I'm gonna switch out. Sheesh. Ooh, that did a lot, actually. That's annoying. I did a lot and I still got 1 HP. I guess that's because Pichu just has such low HP. Still, having a Shell Bell this early is really nice. It's usually a terrible item because you get it so late. Well, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not, you know, it's no leftovers. Let's see what else we could have gotten. Oh, we could have had a Nidoran! Which would have been great, because who knows what it would have evolved into. Okay. Let me check. 20 health, I think. Ten, 9, 8, 7. Okay, kind of close there, but I want to conserve resources because, as we've just learned, it's gonna be a little brutal. Like, Jesus Christ. What the hell? Okay. A Talo? You could have had a Talo too. Those are so much easier to catch too. Talo with Drizzle. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, well, we'll have another chance soon. Let me teach you how strong my adorable Pokemon is. Let's see. Hey Max, we lost our starter.
Oh no.
To a Rayquaza with Icy Wind.
No regrets.
Many regrets. I had so many double teams up, though, and Bright Powder, but you know, it's probably gonna hit me eventually. And Susie still did good in that battle. She took out the Dustox that had Fissure, and nobody else could switch into it. Well,
not high enough level?
Everyone was like at least a level below it.
But
Yeah.
double team.
Well, double team and it's a flying type.
Oh,
Or, you know,
I forget.
it was
Or Susie.
for Susie.
Got any new team members?
Nope.
So
I
it's-
killed a Chansey.
Aw,
My Wobbuffet crit it with cut.
oof.
Yeah. And then, but we're coming up to a cave soon, so that should help.
Oh, I hope you get something that evolves quick.
I hope so too. I want to see. That's my favorite part of this randomizer is that evolutions are random. So
I might have to try and do one of them.
it's so much fun. I had a Transdino Queen. I've probably told you that before though, but it was so much. It was so cool. I think it evolved from Sunflora. Hi. It evolved from I think it evolved from one of the fossil Pokemon because I think I had it named Grandpa. Or it evolved from whatever came out of the fossil, which I don't remember what that was. And because I think it was named Grandpa, so I renamed it to Grandma when I could.
Nice, nice.
Granddad! Tunnel doesn't go through, then I'll just go over the top. Alright, mister. Let's go. Also, my entire team is Psychic type right now, so... Okay. Well, knowing from... Well... Should be able to take one hit, I think. Oh! We just one-shot it with Sacred Fire. Nice. Star is also just really good, because it has Recover. Explode as well? Jeez. At least it doesn't have, like, Boom Burst yet. What's it?
At least it's low level.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I crit it, too.
Nice.
Let's go.
Oh, I forgot Physical Special Split isn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you added that in.
No, I didn't. Moltres,
Wait.
I have to switch her out, or switch them out, because they don't have anything that's effective on it. Uh-oh. No. It's the second time it's missed with Fire Spin. Take an Aeroblast to the face, Moltres. You know, this is the second legendary bird I've run into this stream. I ran into Zapdos earlier. Were you watching then?
I was not.
Okay,
I was
that's
watching
fine.
earlier, but then my phone decided to...
No, I get it. Twitch
Not
doesn't play
stream.
nice with phones.
So now I'm here.
Okay. Whew. Okay.
You got your first badge?
Yeah, I did. That's... Roxanne had the Rayquaza.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and the Dustox. That was using Fissure and Vice Grip.
No.
Yeah, it was a terrifying. Like, I was like, oh boy, I finally made it through the, I made it through that. The freaking Fissure spamming Dustox. I was digging the tool without any tunnels when some goon ordered me out. That tunnel's filled with Pokemon that react badly to loud noises. They could cause an uproar. That's why we stopped using heavy equipment for tunneling. I'm worried that the goon will do something stupid and startle the Pokemon into an uproar. Oh, what am I to do? We were on our walk, Pico and I, when I was jumped by an odd thug. The scoundrel made off with my darling Pico. Roar! Pico! I'd imagine if we weren't a Weepear berry. I think that's one of the funky berries that just does nothing. Imagine if we weren't here, he'd just run in on his own and try to beat him up. I know I think there's something hidden around here. Sorry that you're gonna hear me clicking a lot. Ah well. Alright, well, we've got an encounter in here. Let's see how it goes. It is Beedrill. Okay, that shouldn't have too bad of a...
Why do you have Poison Fang instead of, Why'd you get rid of Sludge Bomb for Poison Fang?
Because they're both not doing too much damage, and Poison
Oh,
Fang has a chance to badly poison
Right.
over poison.
It's not a high damage Pokemon anymore.
Mm-hmm. Plus it needed something with high power points. Ahem.
I love imagining. That was cute.
Thanks.
Star us using Steel Wing.
It's just like it's...
It just like grows wings
Yeah.
out of
Goodbye! Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye! No thank you.
Don't
What?
worry, you'll
Are you
get
coming?
more
Come and get something.
He's not very
Keel Haul and
this
all.
time.
That hostage Pokemon turned out to be worthless. To think I made a getaway in this tunnel to nowhere. Welcome back, Jess. We just killed another Pokemon. I forgot that... I don't know why I thought Steel wasn't very effective against Bug. I don't know why I thought that. I should have used Razor Leaf. I didn't think...
Should have used Razor Leaf.
I should have. That's why I switched to it. Yeah, I killed a Beedrill. You want to battle me? Alright, let's see what this guy... I know. Is this gonna be the clamp roll? Larvazar, okay. Rob needs something that's good against... Oh, that's my sister. Sis, say hi.
Hello. Who am I saying hi to?
Person in my stream. That's okay.
Hi, person.
Oh, I missed stealing. Let's go. Okay, well, at least it's not its... Yeah, she's just chilling in my room. Okay, nice. One hit KO. Could have had a Beedrill. The boss grunt. I love that that's... So I randomized trainer titles. So this grunt's title is boss, so it's boss grunt. Is it the I think it's the boss of the grunts. My career came to a dead end. Yep. She says hi. This is plain not right.
Oh,
Boss told me.
Loud enough?
What? Oh, you're fine. I know you don't want to be picked up too much, do you? Yeah, it's fine. Boss told me this would be a slick and easy job to pull. All I had to do was steal some package from Devon. You want it back that badly? Take it. Dun, 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 dun. Put away the Devon goods. Is there any else? Once I get the fishing rod, I'll be able to have lots more encounters, though.
Yep. One
Pico.
per town at
Yeah.
least.
Am I glad to see you're safe? Pico owes her life to you. They call me Mr. Briny, and you are... dot 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 dot. Ah, so you're Z. I sincerely thank you. Now, if there's anything that troubles you, don't hesitate to tell me. You can usually find me in my cottage by the sea near Petalburg Woods. Come, Pico, we should make our way home. And then that way... is there an item here? I don't remember. I thought there... no. It's just that. Okay. Oh yeah, let's switch. Let's switch to Star. Star up front. Ah! That goofy goon hightailed it out of the tunnel. I can go back to digging. Good for you. To get to Vernon Turf without using the tunnel, you'd have to cross the sea to Twofold, sail to Slateport, and then travel through Mauville, which is exactly what we're gonna do. Okay, so I know there's items here. I think we can actually avoid these trainers if we want to. We might want to leave them just for, you know, hopefully training up a new Pokemon. Which I'll get one of these days. Pinap.
Where do you get the fishing rod in this game?
You get it in Dewford.
Huh?
Yeah, and that's where we're going next.
Right. There's a fisherman out fishing. You can just talk to him. That's where it is.
Yep. What? Also, we ran into one of my viewers' favorite Pokemon, and we had to kill it twice. The first time it was a random encounter. The second time it was a trainer's.
But which one was it?
Umbreon.
Oh, Umbreon's great.
It is. I'm very sorry.
But also,
She's still mad.
I enjoy
they're
your
still
pain,
mad.
viewer.
Wow. That was her, not me. She said she enjoys your pain. Frickin' sadist. I karate chopped her. I kind of want to get... Imagine getting an Eevee in this kind of, the randomizer, because you could just try... Oh, I don't know if I'd want to do that, actually. Oh, I forgot to go fight this guy. My Pokemon rule! Check them out! I guess we'll find out. But, to be fair, And she says she enjoys your next heartbreak. Seviper's a cool Pokemon. They should have given it a Mega. Why wasn't there like Mega Seviper and Zangoose? That would have been really cool.
Yeah, it would've.
Kadabra. Bruh.
Like a Flygon's still the one
I know. Or at least like a... They should give it like a regional form at some...
Yeah, Bug-type regional form?
Oh, there goes the Oranberry that I had on it. Had on them. That's fine though.
Honestly, it wouldn't even need to be Bug Dragon. They could just do a regional form that's like something else.
Da 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 da.
It'd be cool too.
I figured Susie was probably going to be the first to go, to be honest. In a randomized Nuzlocke like this, it tends to be...
Zubats,
Yeah, and it tends to be the bulky Pokemon that survive longest. Because they can take, you know, a random move better. Whereas in regular Nuzlockes, it tends to be like the fast and strong types because you can, you know, prepare for what you need, and you know what's coming, so you can better prepare for it. I mean, I guess that's, you know, get that to deliver this to the shipyard in Slateport. It would be awful if those robbers tried to take it again. So, could I count on you to do that for me? That's right, could you wait here a second? Oh, I have a water bottle. Give me a second, I need to have some Wawa. I need to get those, like, redeem things.
If you need me to get you anything, I can.
That's fine.
Okay.
What did you miss? Yeah, we killed a Beedrill. Not too much. We ran into Moltres. It wasn't a problem, though. So we've run into all the birds except for Articuno. Please go ahead. I'm Mr. Stone, the president of the Devon Corporation. I just got word about you. You saved our staff not just once, but twice. I have a favor to ask of an amazing person like you. I understand that you're delivering a package to Slateport's shipyard. Well, on the way, could you stop off in Dewford Town? I was hoping that you'd deliver a letter to Stephen in Dewford. Zebo, with the letter in the key items pocket. Now, you should know that I am a great president, so I'd never be so cheap as to ask a favor for nothing in return. So I want you to have this. I got a Pokénav, too. That device, it's a Pokemon Navigator, or Pokénav for short. It's an indispensable tool for any trainer on an adventure. It's a map of the Hoenn region. You can check the locations of Dewford and Slateport easily. Alright, thanks. I know all this, old man. Okay, these guys. Curse the SS Anne for making us all check trash cans incessantly every time they appear. Hi there, you're always welcome here. Sounds like they've recovered the ripped off Devon goods. And then he's gonna... Oh wait, he doesn't call me. I think he calls you an Emerald. Because they're like, we need to make sure that the trainer knows how to use it. Or they wanted to make you use it at least once. But now we still have 2 Pokemon. Truly unfortunate. But, you know, they're good mons. Just, kinda wish I had more. Also, Entree still has almost double the health of Star. Which, you know, I guess that's to be expected. It is a Wobbuffet. I want Susie back, too. She's in a better place.
Nah, Susie in hell.
No, I named the box Heaven, because...
You should have a hell one for the Pokemon that died that you don't like.
I might. Should we fight our rival? Because that's like an optional rival fight.
Where?
Leaving Rustboro. I think it's optional, or I think it's a fight. I don't know. I think so. You know what? Let's fight her. Oh, hi Z, how's your Pokedex coming along? Mine's looking pretty decent. Got Pokemon and Peltward words until I ran out of Pokeballs. Oh, never mind. I think that's an Emerald that they have at a fight. I always forget. Maybe it's not a fight. Maybe they just... She's not a fan of you.
Hmm?
The person in chat is not a fan of you.
Why?
I wonder. I wonder. Miss,
Oh, right.
let's
Is
put
this the
everyone
part-
in hell.
Well, excuse me.
She just mean? True. Listen, I've lived with her. I know how mean she
Okay, but
is.
I'm only mean when I think it'd be funny.
Uh-huh. So you're mean.
So often.
Often, yes. Okay, this lady gives you the miracle seed. Oh, neat! That's the badge from Rustboro Gym. That's fine. She's not too bad. It's a miracle seed. If your Pokemon holds that item, its grass type moves will become stronger. Other convenient items won't. Well, we don't have any encounters in here, unfortunately. What is up with all these water types? It's kind of ridiculous. I still stand by the, my theory that Team Aqua has already taken over.
Honestly, how much water there is in Helen?
Oh, shut up. Don't you say that, don't... Salackberry. Ooh. Don't you say the too much water line.
Why would I when you've already done it?
That's true. I wonder if there are like options to change the encounter rate as well. I don't know. I didn't see it in that. So I use the... Now you're just taunting me. Another bright powder right after we lose Susie, huh? And that's what she had on her. Pecha Berry. They're just taunting me. And then Maggie, the Rayquaza proceeded to use Follow Me only for the rest of the fight. It used Icy Wind and then used Follow Me until it died.
It just wanted to kill Susie.
It
That's
just
so
wanted to kill
mean.
Susie. Oh, hi, dude. Look, another water type. Literally another water type.
I mean,
There
there
have been-
are a lot of water types.
But in Petalburg Woods alone, there has been Mudkip, Croconaw, Slowking, and now Dugong.
Fair enough. That's a lot.
It is. The woods have been flooded. Alright, well, at least we'll be able to get some new guys.
Soon.
Very soon. Hold on, Lass. Wait up, Pico. You're Z, you saved my darling Pico. We owe so much to you. What's that? You want to sail with me? You have a letter bound for Dewford and a package for Slayport, then? Quite the busy life you must lead. But certainly what you're asking is no problem at all. Come to the right man, we'll set sail for Dewford. Dewford, here we come. Anchors away, Pico, we're setting sail, my darling. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling, Pico. Don't worry, Jess, I'm nugging her. My type? Oh, sheesh. Time. It's 7:30 p.m. right now. Ahoy, we've hit land in Dewford. Suppose you're off to deliver that letter to, who was it now? Stephen! Okay. Alright, give me the fishing rod, old man. Yes, I am. I hear you and I like what you're saying. I'll give you one of my fishing rods. What time is it for you? Is it 2:30 again? First you have to face the water, then use the rod. Focus your mind. If you get a bite, yada 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 yada. Yada yada yada. Yes, I get it. Okay. There's a lot to be said for living on a small island like this. In the large port of Slayport. Surrounded by that beautiful sea. That's happiness too. I like that. Okay, I'm not going to abuse the fact that these are technically two different routes. I'm not going to do that. But I am going to fish. That's what I thought. 2:30 a.m. Talo! Awesome, okay. I don't know if I should even razor leaf it. Cut. Arrow. We'll try throwing some Pokeballs at it. Let's try throwing a Great Ball first. Dun, 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 dun. Woo, let's go. We got a new guy. We finally did it. Hello. This gutsy Pokemon will remain defiant even after a loss. On the other hand, it cries loudly if it becomes hungry. Did you know that, Swellow's niche in later generations is being a special attacker? Because it gets scrappy and boom burst. Yeah.
Oh, fine.
Yep. So it's a faster version of Explode. Yeah. Let me know what you want me to call it, Jess. Or you can name the next one.
Well, no, I'm just excited that... I was just excited at the idea of someone in chat naming the Pokemon.
Oh yeah. Alright, it shall be Verd. Verd. Verd is the Verd.
You dork.
Yes. Okay, so what moves does it have? It has Mail. Bead Mail. It has Outrage, Takedown, and Egg Bomb. What the heck?
That's awesome.
I mean, it's Gen 3 Outrage, so it's only 90 base power.
And also, does it evolve at 18 or 22 or 20?
I don't remember. I think it might be 20. Let's
You
read
should
the
probably
mail.
see if you can
Okay,
evolve
it doesn't
before,
actually say anything.
your gym battle.
Yeah. But we finally got somebody new.
Hey, have you tried an encounter for Dewford Town?
No, I haven't. That was my water encounter. Oh, what am I?
For that route, right? For the route by Dewford?
Yes, but I'm not counting those two as different. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not cheap like that. Come on.
Sorry, I am.
I know. Listen, okay, maybe if I have good message. Just because you got to name him? No. What should we change it to? Let's see, what terrible things can we change this to? Conditions. Maybe. You know what? This is a mood. Big insomnia. Huh? Big insomnia? Yeah, that's right. I knew that. I knew it all along. Of course I know about that. Big insomnia, right? Yeah, it's there. Isn't big insomnia the coolest or what? It's the hippest thing in hip. You think I not know about it? Jeez. Good message. It's like so 5 minutes ago. No, big insomnia. It's what's vital and in tune with the times.
This dude.
I do want to know why you call it Verd. Also, yeah, and now everyone has big insomnia merch. Alright, let's train you up, Verd. So you have a Drizzle. And quite the interesting set of moves. But unfortunately your normal type moves don't have good accuracy. What do people do if they need to go to the washroom? What if my rod hooks a big one while I'm in the washroom? I just can't go. And yes, I do want to know why you name it Verd. Sorry if I said that already, but I do want to know. Pidgeotto, okay. I don't think I have any water moves, so that doesn't help. Let's just switch to Entre. Magic Coat, okay. Okay. You keep doing that. Are you kidding me? What are the chances of that? Maggie, this Pidgeotto has Rain Dish. My Tailo has Drizzle. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Bird is the English word, Vogel is the German word for bird, so I just mixed it to Verd. Nice.
Ew. Is this person German?
I think they said they speak German. I don't know, are you German, Jess? Or I think you said it was your first language or something like that? Okay, Pidgeotto. Chill out a little bit.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
That scared me.
It did. It scared me too.
I don't want Andre to die.
Oh my god, look at these stat growths. 2 to HP, 2 to attack, 0 to everything but speed, and then 2 to speed. Ooh, we grew 2 levels. Lost because I'm trying not to go to the washroom. Uh-huh, wait, what are you saying? Yeah. Which do you prefer, fishing by the sea or in a stream? Or whatever that's a... Well, I mean, here I'm always fishing in a stream. Ah, ha, 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 ha. That was a terrible joke. Oh, you are from Germany. Cool. Let's see, what do you got? Okay, oh, okay, cool. Oh, that's because you're in the... This counts as, like, ground area, so it would have turned you... I guess ground type? I don't know. Camouflage is weird. It's a funky move. Oh, nice. Doom Desire. Jesus. Use my chop. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Get out of there, Verd. Okay, well that's... Good thing I didn't switch into... Star there. What do you mean? Okay. Oh, you want me to sing you to sleep again? Sheesh. Ooh, I got a crit.
Oh, that did 3 damage.
Yeah. It is a Machop using Pedal Dance, so...
Oh, okay. It's still Pedal Dance.
I mean, it's still Pedal Dance. It's it's not as strong. I think they buffed that in Outrage
right.
next gen.
Yeah,
Because they were like...
they're 90 damage this point.
Yeah.
And later gens, moves like that are between 110 and like 130.
Yeah, yeah.
Depending on the gen and the move.
Because no one used those moves. Wigglytuff, okay. Verd is getting levels pretty dang quick.
I want to see Verd evolve into something weird.
I do too.
It'll be great.
Let's just switch to laundry.
I'm just hoping that it evolves into something worse, because that would be so funny for me.
You're terrible.
I know, but also, it would be entertaining, you know.
Also, what do you think I should sing to,
I have no idea.
Me either. I don't know too many lullabies, unfortunately. What is the, Kookabear sits in the old gum tree, Mayor King of the bushes, he laugh, Kookabear, laugh, Kookabear, gay your life must be. That's all I remember from that one. Mom used to use that one. Take that, Wigglytuff. Not so wiggly tough are you now. Pretty wiggly rough for you. Dang, Verd has just grown levels like crazy. I think it's because I'm so used to my guys not gaining levels very quickly because they're both fully evolved. Let's see, is there anything over here? I found a retro mail. Nice. Hehe, I am a retro mail. Ha ha ha. Bad joke. Alright, let's see what our encounter is in here. Hey you, it gets awfully dark ahead. It'd be tough trying to explore. That guy who came by earlier, Steven, I think it was. You know how to use flash, so we ought to be alright, but well, for us hikers helping out, those that we need is our motto. Here you go, I'll pass this on to you. Boom 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 boom, bada. Teach that hidden move flash to a Pokemon and use it. Lights up even in the inky darkness of caves. But to use it, you need the gym badge from David's Pokemon Gym. Alright, what do we got? What do we got? What do we? We got a Poliwrath. Okay. Okay, that's annoying. That doesn't do much damage though. Okay, one cut shouldn't do too much. Yeah, not very much at all. Here, I'm gonna look at the lyrics to the Kookaburra Lullaby. It's been ages since I heard it. What is this? Oh, just Swift again. Oh, I don't know, autocorrect is weird. How do you spell Kookaburra song? Oh, there it is. Oh, it's by Marion Sinclair. Oh, is it only that long? Oh, okay, I didn't know it was that short. Kookaburra sits on the old gum tree. Merry, merry king of the bush is he. Laugh, Kookaburra, laugh. Kookaburra gay, your life must be. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, eating all the gumdrops he can see. Stop, Kookaburra, stop. Kookaburra, leave some there for me. Please don't crit. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, counting all the monkeys he can see. Stop, Kookaburra, stop. Kookaburra, that's no monkey, that's me. Oh, thank God it didn't crit. I'll try to. It is a Poliwrath. I don't have any more Great Balls.
Token effort.
Try. I'll try my best. But I know that one my mom used to use, and then it was, or was it?
There was the angels.
Yeah, 14 Angels, I think. Oh, well, that didn't work on that one, but let's see. Did you just confuse me? That's fine. Doesn't matter, I already did all the damage I need to. Okay, let's see. When at night I go to sleep, 14 angels watch to keep. 2 my head are guarding, 2 my feet are guiding, 2 on my right hand, 2 are on my left hand. 2 to warmly cover, 2 who o'er me hover. 2 to whom 'tis given to guide my steps to heaven. I myself am not religious, but that one was used a lot in my childhood, so it's still special to me. So we've got 10 Pokeballs left, and I have a feeling we're going to go through all of them. But you know, maybe I'll be wrong. Yes, let's go. Poliwrath liked the song. Poliwrath's highly developed, brawny muscles never grow fatigued, however much it exercises. It is so tirelessly strong, this Pokemon can swim back and forth across the Pacific Ocean without effort. Alright, what do we want to nickname this? Look at this chunky boy. Let's see. Jess might be going. Jess is hopefully asleep. Any ideas?
Sleep, Jess.
You might have just woken them up.
Oh fuck.
Any ideas what you want to name the Poliwrath? Any ideas for them?
I don't know. My brain isn't thinking of a good Poliwrath name. I'm sorry.
I was thinking of Polypiece or something dumb like that. Yeah. No, wait, no. I know what I want to name it.
Make it a different set. One of the 7 deadly sins.
No, you're not. I'm gonna name it Polypuff, in honor of a. You're awake still. Dang it. He's well, I don't watch his streams too often, but I do watch his. I know he's chunky. I didn't know a Pokemon that wasn't. Oh, I should have named it Chunky? Okay, maybe when we get to, I didn't know a Pokemon that wasn't Cast Form could learn for it, could have Forecast. But I mean, I guess it doesn't do anything. Maybe I'll change it to that. But Polypuff is a... I'm gonna out myself as a League of Legends player, but he does League of Legends content, mostly Bard, and he's very wholesome usually. And I enjoy, he has some very well edited videos, so. And you know, Bard is kind of chunky like Poliwrath. I know you're still awake. Dang. Go to sleep. Get out of here. Do you need me to sing? I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore, whatever they're called. I don't know any more lullabies, unfortunately. I can just sing it again. Let's see, what else could we have gotten? We could have gotten a Feebas? Are you kidding?
Aww.
I know.
Well, that's incredibly hard to evolve.
That's true. It has Water Spout. Ow. Oh, that did 4 damage. Kinda proud of being awake still? Don't be proud of that. Go to sleep. Do you have work tomorrow? I hope you don't have work tomorrow. Oh, it crit. That would be rough. Okay, that should do no damage. Nice! 69 experience points. Nice! Oh, I found an iron. Let's use that on... Let's use that on Staros, because it has recovery. So... Oh, you still need to wake up in the morning? That sucks. See, it has confusion. I'm sorry to hear that. And still at the same time, oh my gosh. That's 8, isn't it? What do you have to do tomorrow that if you don't have work? Cause that sucks. Ooh, those stackings are nice. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's rough. Was it someone you knew well? We could have had a Gligar. Look at this funny guy. Look at him. He's so funny. And has Endeavor. Oh, okay, yeah, you don't need to talk about that. Don't have any ice moves. Or water moves.
Honestly, just run from that.
Doesn't, I probably should.
It's faster than you Endeavor will do.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, you know, here, if you can't go to sleep, at least you can, you know, hopefully keep your mind off that. Oh, look at War Turtle! Oh, look at this funny guy, I love this sprite. Look at this funny little fella. Okay. That's why I'm saying this can be escapism. You know, the good kind. Oh, sheesh. Ancient power, huh? Seeing it barely survived, I was worried it was going to use Mirror Coat. You always worry about that. Look at that, that's another water type. What in the world? Okay, and also we want to give this to Star Us because there's so many water types. Does anybody have any ground tomatoes? Let's see. He's called Pee-Pee. Pee-Pee up. And furrows. Jeez. Okay. That's very mean. Why would you do that? Okay, I should just run. Let's see. I gotta find all the items. I don't remember where they all are. Waddle. Okay, with the Miracle Seed we should just be able to one-hit KO it.
You're almost a water type trainer.
No, I only have 2.
Yeah, out of 4 Pokemon.
Let's listen. What do I keep saying? That there's so many dang water types here? I can't control that. Oh, that didn't one-hit KO.
I ain't judging, I'm just enjoying.
Mm-hmm. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, there we go, level 10. When do you learn new moves? Oh!
You should go back to old places that you've been that, like, towns that didn't have encounters and use the fishing rod.
I might if I get too low on mons.
Yeah, fair. I get that it feels cheap.
Yeah. I was just... Oh, Tropius! God, I love Tropius. It's such a cool design.
Dork.
Such a good design.
And badass at the same time. I love it when we get both.
I wish we had like a... It should have gotten a Mega that made it Dragon type. Although Grass Dragon is a terrible typing. But, you know, it would have been cool. Let's see. Pretty sure there's... Yep, there we go. And then... Hold on. Ah. Ladybug. Look at that cutie. It's a shame it sucks ass. I'm sorry. It's I wish Ladian was better. It just, you know, isn't. Da-da. Woo! Houndoom. Jeez. Some pretty crazy mons in this tunnel. Also, jeez. Lunatone. Ooh. How was that for a Lunatone cry? Oh wait, here it is.
Door.
We found a sody pop. Nice, actually. I mean, especially since we're never using an Everstone. Imagine if an Everstone was like the offensive version of an Eviolite.
That'd be cool.
It would be kind of cool. Scyther would be strong as hell.
Yeah.
Who else would be? Hello, Steven. That device you have there, it's a Pokénav. Trainers that have Pokénavs battle, it keeps a record of how things went, I think. Oh, pardon me, my name is Steven. I'm interested in rare stones, so I travel here and there. Oh, a letter for me? What I didn't like about Emerald is that it made Wallace the champion, but like... You run into Steven so much more, and he's so much more important in your journey. And then Wallace, you just kind of run into once at the Cave of Origin, along with Steven. And then it's like, oh, he's the champion. Like, I didn't like that. I don't know. Plus his team's not as cool. But that's neither here nor there. I do gotta say, though, Wallace has the better fashion sense. Okay, thank you. You went through all this trouble to deliver that. I need to thank you. Let's see, I'll give you this TM. It contains my favorite move, Steel Wing. It probably doesn't, but thank you. Your Pokemon appear quite capable. If you keep training, you could even become the champion of the Pokemon League one day. That's what I think. Now I've got to hurry along. Nuzleaf. Wow, it's Nuzleaf. The Pokemon that gave it, that started it all. You can't talk about, Nuzlocke without talking about Nuzleaf. Maggie, do you know why it was actually called those? It's a silly reason.
What?
The first Nuzlocke comic had a Nuzleaf that was named Locke, as in the philosopher John Locke, I believe.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and they just portmanteaued those two together, and thus the name was born. Okay, so we've got 2 level 10s and 2 level 15s. I remember last time I wiped here, nearly. I think my only survivor was a Lanoon. And I had to rebuild my team slowly, and it was... Where's your singing? Okay, sheesh. Maybe I'll make that a redeem once I actually get points. What did I give to you? Quick Claw. Well, you're probably faster than... Oh, no, you're not. Well, he's not. Actually, I should probably take that from you. Give the Quick Claw to him, because he's always going to be slow. When at night I go to sleep, 14 angels watch to keep. 2 my head are guiding, 2 my feet are guiding, 2 on my right hand, 2 on my left hand, 2 to warmly cover, 2 who over me hover, 2 'tis given to guide my steps to heaven. Let's see, what was I thinking? Oh, Maggie, half my team's Psychic type too. Wobbuffet and Starmie. And oh my god, it's unknown.
Watch a node of like fish.
Don't say that. Don't say that. It has Air Cutter. Okay, that's actually bad for me. Ow. I'll just switch to Star. Well, at least I know it only has one move, because it's unknown. Oh, that's right. I don't know why I thought it was like... Anyways, that's fine. This does good damage. Oh wait, I should check what TM I got from that dude. That dude, I say, as if he isn't the champion. Wah, I lost. Let's see. What did we get? We got focus energy. Interesting. This gen doesn't have the sniper ability though. Or does it have scope lens? I think they buffed scope lens later. Might is right. Come on. Dr. Hideki. Okay, hi Sandslash. I guess I'll switch to Star again. Such a dramatic animation for Barrage. Okay, let's heal that off. God, Recover is so nice to have. Okay. Thankfully that comes off your special attack, but still. Yeesh. Leaf Blade, not very nice. I can't think of any other song. Psycho Boost? What is this Sandslash? Good thing I have Recover, cause sheesh. I can't think of any more songs. You can recommend some to me if you want, Jess. But I hope I can, I'll try to be more low energy so you can go to sleep to me suffering, probably. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, merry-making of the bushes he. Laugh, Kookaburra, laugh, Kookaburra gay your life must be. You know, 3/4 of my team are stone evolutions, so I don't think they're learning any moves for a long time, which kinda sucks. Oh, they changed up the layout for Emerald. I forgot about that. There's no need for Brawly to be involved. I'll crush you. Alright, sheesh.
Oh my god.
Chill out, Chief Tessa. Cloyster, okay. What is Cloyster's... Cloyster, why do you look like that? Cloyster looks like it just like... I don't know. It just looks terrifying. Let's switch to Star. Yet another water type. Okay. Ow. First of all. I was about to say, that should probably one-shot. Cloyster does not have good special defense. Nice, good job, Verd. If only I had water-type moves. Ow. Uh-oh. The Shabelle healing will be able to help offset that a little bit. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree. Hold on. Eating all the gumdrops he can see. Don't dragon dance. Stop, Kookaburra, stop. Kookaburra, leave some there for me. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, counting all the monkeys he can see. Stop, Kookaburra, stop. Bear, that's not a monkey, that's me! Ah, Nightshade! What's up?
Nothing.
Okay, I need to heal. Would you stop that? I'm still not freed from Sand Tomb, are you kidding me? Hey, well, at least Swift can't miss. Coming to life now and again. I was fine, 'cause I knew that they didn't really matter until you. I was fine when she came, he came, sorry. And we fought like it was all some silly game over her, who she'd choose. After all those years I never thought I'd lose. It's over, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it over? It's over, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it over? You won, and she chose you, and she loved you, and she's gone. It's over, isn't it? Why can't I move on? War and glory, reinvention, fusion, freedom, her attention, out in daylight, my potential, bold, precise, experimental. Who am I now in this world without her? Petty and dull with the nerve to doubt her. What does it matter? It's already done. Now I've got to be there for her son. It's over, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it over? It's over, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it over? You won and she chose you, and she loved you, and she's gone. It's over, isn't it? Why can't I move on? It's over, isn't it? Why can't I move on? That song hurts. How could I lose so easily? Oh, focus energy could actually be good on, what's his name? Entree, because he has Aeroblast, which is a high crit rate. And he's already, you know, his battle's already long, so I might just forget Mega Kick for that. And it's not like anybody else is going to use it well. Oh, well, it'd be good if he could learn it. Let's see, nothing good to teach here. I haven't watched too much Steven Universe, I just know the songs are really good.
You need to watch it.
Listen, I just watched a whole show.
Excuse you, stay up all night tonight.
I
Watch
will not.
Steven Universe.
Absolutely not, I need to sleep.
You can sleep the next day.
Jeez, none of... The only move that Verd has that is decent accuracy is Outrage. Everything else is 85 or 75. That is terrible.
You should evolve Caleb.
I probably should. I'll get it at least a couple more levels. I don't remember what level. I think...
I'll look it up.
What level's Brawly?
It's 22 is when Caleb evolves.
Okay, I was gonna say, is that what level Brawly has? But no.
I'll check.
Yeah, if you don't mind checking what level Brawly's dudes are. Okay, so this guy only has...
Yeah, actually, as long as...
Well, Verd is 12 and,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Train
Yep.
up guys to at least 17.
I'll train him up to like 15 probably. Maybe more. Probably a little more. Alright.
I
Alright.
was gonna say, that is needless.
I know.
I
just don't like training very much.
I know. I'm just over here always being paranoid when I do Nuzlocke.
Sounds about right. Also, ow, I'm gonna have to switch it.
Back inside.
It's true. We do call it that. Wow, thanks, Guava. Thank you for reminding me of that move. That one move. Frickin' Icy Wind. What is the chance on Quick Claw? I know it's not high. Thanks for checking that for me, Mag.
Wow.
I probably could, but...
But you beat.
Trying to learn Snatch. Okay, should I get rid of Takedown or Egg Bomb? I'm gonna get rid of Egg Bomb, I think, because Takedown has more power points. I know it does damage to itself, but it also has 10 more accuracy, in exchange for 10 less power, so...
You have Doom Desire?
I do.
I love that move.
It has 75 accuracy in this gen for some reason. I know.
That's such a fun move, too.
I know, right? I don't know why they were like, no, it's too strong. It's Future Sight, but Steel type, and it's too strong. We gotta nerf its accuracy. Alright. Poliwrath versus Poliwrath, let's go. Oh great. Got a Supersonic off. Come on, Polly. Shit. Shit. Come on, Polly. There you go. Nice. Oh, come on, Polly. You got this. You got this. Shit. Dang it. How are you still confused? Oh my gosh. Alright. Sheesh. I was about to say, if that confused me, I was going to go insane. No, instead Razor Leaf misses. There we go. Yeesh. Okay. Let's get some other songs going. We might as well while we're grinding.
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it.
Shut up, Grammarly.
So now
Nobody cares about you, Grammarly. Why is that having such trouble loading? Just because I've got a stream going at the same time.
All right, wise guy.
Ay. Oh, I can't see it, but I know I can skip it.
I was just an acrobat high above the street, pointing at the ground, the empty sky beneath my feet, the perfect fall. No one could tell at all that it was killing me. You were just an astronaut floating on a spark, tearing up the atmosphere, burning down the dark as you felt it, the heat against your skin, till it got too bright to see. Far away, I hear the things they say about me. Even though they know you had to go without me.
Now you are an architect, setting up the scene. Everyone is with you and you're all waiting for me. You check the net, but you haven't caught me yet. They're not quite done with me.
Now I am an arsonist, 7 miles high, burning through the air I breathe, thunder in the sky, my engine sings as it melts this pair of wings that only I can see.
Oh, that does a lot of damage.
Touch the sun, my eyes wide open, unbelieving. Catch a breath, the only one who is left is leaving.
I didn't see if it confused her or him, but I'm just gonna switch.
Here at the bar, who cares what I do? I'm all alone, but I'm drinking for two. Drowning
See if there's anything new.
that I used to be. Nobody loves you like me.
What has Phoebus used so far? Ah. Oh! 1 health! Phoebus used water spout in the rain. That guy lived on 1 health.
You should probably only let water types fight Phoebus.
Everything
I
lasts
mean, it's not super strong, but yes.
only a dream. I know, thinking you'd never go, tearing off pieces of myself just for the time it buys
me.
Fold my heart up small, or break it into pieces. Find somewhere and keep it there. Take it when you go.
Oh, Maggie. I just realized. You know what's terrifying? I'd used takedown. It missed. If it had hit. Yeah.
I saw this coming, but still I'm caught by surprise. All of this time I knew that I'd be losing.
Carnivore, what the heck?
That doesn't mean that it's okay. That doesn't mean I'm ready. Fold my heart up small, or break it into pieces. Find somewhere and keep it there.
Let me see if I can confirm that that's its only move. Oh, it also has Psybeam. Okay. Good thing I switched then. That would do a lot to Verd. When you go. Why does everything have clamp?
Some things you always remember, some things you forget. No way to make it up now, no room for regret. That's no good for anyone, and so I come undone. Now I am less than what I was. Whatever's left is yours, love. So fold my heart up small, or break it into pieces.
Find somewhere and keep it there. Take it when you go. Okay, nice. Level 14. Nobody is learning any new moves. Because so many of so much of my team is stone evolutions, or I guess half my team is, and then there's Wobbuffet, which basically feels like a stone evolution. fun when the skip ads button isn't appearing. It says pound and something else.
We work late and I pretend that I don't notice when you're next to me, but I do. I might be mistaken, but I sometimes get the feeling that you noticed too. And I know this place is here, quiet, dark and small. When we're finished here, I think that I may wanna be about you. It'd be nice to go out drinking with you. You would think that we've danced around each other long enough to know where to stand.
Wait, they both can't be 17. Is his highest level 17?
His highest is 18.
Oh, you said 17 and 18. That's right, I forgot.
Yep.
This is for Ruby, right?
He's at a fire.
Okay, cool. I'm pretty sure his team is different in Emerald. Like, every team is. Happen now. Oh, Cacturn.
Either way, I think that we should start off with a drink.
Maybe two. Be nice to go out drinking with you. You have pursuit. That's not very nice. The amphi for that is really good. It's like it's difficult to explain it. It's like an old style like text adventure game going on as well with a different story at the same time. It's really cool.
Ships that I've been dreaming of, and I'd like to swim beside you, getting dizzy in your wake, getting close enough to touch you, getting brave enough to take you into my arms, bring you down to be with me, but I can't do that thing anymore.
Why am I not running into new Pokemon? There we go, what was that?
Maybe I am better off alone, because I crush everything and I crush everything and I crush everything. Got pretty nice arms, but I hate my beak. And the dolphins are all phonies. They seem nice enough at first, but they pretend to be your friend until they see you at your worst, and then they leave you without a word. They swim away.
Hi, Phoebus.
So
I don't like you.
that thing anymore. I can't be the thing I was before. Maybe I am better off alone.
Should probably just run from this thing. Doesn't even give that much experience.
Everything and I crush everything and I crush everything. And everything I want, I take. And everything I love, I bring. Every night I lie awake.
Take down a one-shot this. Wouldn't be surprised I'm almost double its level. Boom, boom.
Did the
Nice.
world spin round? Does it matter that much when you're 10 miles down? In the light that filters down into my giant yellow eye, I can see the sails unfolding, stretching wide against the sky, and I forgive them. I forgive and I let go. 'Cause I can't do that thing anymore. I can't be the thing I was before. Maybe I am better off alone, because I crush everything and I crush everything and I crush everything.
We'll head out.
Okey-dokes. I'll probably end soon. Probably after Brawley. And I crush everything and I... Oh. That's probably gonna get claimed. Yes. Oh no, I want quiet songs right now. But Serpent Eating the Ground is definitely one banger of a final boss theme. Can't believe I only got around to playing Bravely Default this year. Well, I played it a long time ago, but I got stuck because it's very hard. I wonder which is higher on Poly. Probably attack. I'd have to save, I guess.
They invented a reason. That's why it stings. They don't think you matter because you don't have pretty rings. I keep telling you I don't care. I keep saying there's one thing they can't change. I know you're mine, we go round. The rest of the world looks so small. Promise me you will always remember who you are. Let them shuffle the numbers. Watch them come and go. We're the ones who are out here.
Stop it, Majuk.
We can only be who we are. Doesn't matter if they don't understand. I'm your moon, you're my moon. We go round and round. From out here, it's the rest of the world that looks so small. Promise me you will always remember who you are. Who you are. Long before they said you were no more. Sad excuse for a sunrise. It's so cold out here. Ice and silence and dark skies as we go round another year. Let them think
Actually, I should probably start training down here. Higher levels.
right here
I
next to
used to
you. I'm
have
your
you.
moon, you're my moon. We go round and round. From out here,
It's the rest of the world that seems so small.
promise
Promise
me
me you will always remember who you are. You know what I think would be like a cool mechanic? If like Shell Bell acted like the Pokemon had the Rockhead ability or something like that. Or like something like that. Also, Chimecho. I love that Pokemon.
You booked a sunny Verbo ski chalet.
No, I didn't. Shut up. days high school. Pray for evenings in rainy streets and walk them home to school. I just will shut cardboard paper cut cardboard. What do I say? It's really cool. So much to say, I forget to start. Because the day fades, it passes. We prepare to fall apart. It's okay. I like you in glasses.
Drowning princess in a tangle of towels on the floor.
Don't feel awake. The words we take. Kindness and coffee cup waiting by the door. So much to say, I forget to start. Begins a day, fades, it passes. We could go and fall apart. It's okay. Someone's been double cooking. I got time. How's your next week looking? Some shifts in the place. Little breathing space. Radiators and floorboards will argue while we speak. Water in the walls, stairs like waterfalls. So much to say, I forget to stop. Begins the day, fading as it passes. Fading as it passes. It's okay. I like you in glasses. Bang, girl. Almost had no. That's not the song.
Crackle in the buzz makes up that sound. It's breaking up nice, but it won't break down. Pretty sweet ride as long as you can hold on. Here right now, gone when it's gone. Signal in the north, pieces of the world they'll find. The echo of a choice, the static that you leave behind.
But it's better than Sun State.
It's better than Sun State. It's better than Sun State.
One after another.
It's better than Sun State.
Take it another.
Better than Sun State.
Take care of each other.
It's better than Sun State.
There's the last one. Take care of each other. It's better than Sun State. One after another. It's better than Sun State. Take care of each other. It's better than Sun State. Okay, it just seems to have clamp.
Go! It's easy to be bad. It's hard to be.
I thought we'd start the evening off with a glass of cold rosé. Then we can sit here on the couch, just holding hands. And I'll say that you're beautiful, and you'll say I'm moving too fast. But I won't mind,
Because I know in time you will be soft rock by me. Though it may take some time, eventually you will be soft rock by me. There's a passing voice to show how gentle I'll be when I soft rock you. You know it's true. You've never been soft rocked till you've been soft rocked by me. Nice.
I'll listen to the things you say about the way you feel. I'll smile an understanding smile when your boyfriend calls. Then you'll go, but you'll think of me, and one day you'll knock on my door, 'cause you want to be soft rocked by me.
You will be soft rocked by me. Though it may take some time, eventually you will be soft rocked by me. Passive voice to show how gentle I'll be when I soft rock you. You know it's true that you've never been soft rocked till you've been soft rocked by me.
Have you ever been in love with a man who's sensitive? Have you ever spent a night with a man who cries? Well, that's me. I'm sensitive and I cry. I'm crying right now in a merry way, because I know someday you will be soft rocked by me. It may take some time, eventually you will be soft rocked by me. I use the passive voice to show how gentle I'll be when I soft rock you. You know it's true that you've never been soft rocked till you've been soft rocked by me. Till you've been soft rocked by me. Till you've been soft rocked by me.
After all these years, to be going back to where...
Okay, one more level. Forgot about this area. Oh my god, how many ads are there?
We were blind to every sign that we
You
should
should
have
have
seen
seen
in a clear unbroken line.
machine to machine.
Our mistakes were the future. No one could tell.
That was just
Long
right.
on Bitcoin and
Regret.
regret. With
Not much to show.
Roaches took the kitchenette. We just let it go. Walked away as the skyline
Crumbled and fell. We could have stayed. Inside the city the machines have made.
but we took
Took
our
our
time.
time. Oh, that just takes me over here. Here in the sunshine. This is
All that's gone. Paint the edges of the road we're on.
like that. Why can't I escape? Oh, well, no, I really can't escape. Uh-oh. Alright, sheesh. Take that. Inside. Not anymore. Oh, this could be bad.
Tops of the trees reflect a cold and bluish light.
Oh, this could be really bad.
Unease if there's nobody left.
Who is it for?
We soldier on. Light bulbs and batteries are almost gone. Watch the world unwind.
Outside, here in the sunshine, that's the shadow in the sky. I'm still clamped. Okay. Now I can probably take it. But man, these things are annoying.
All the rest have slipped away. Just me and the wall. I won't last another day. And here where I fall marks the end of a great big beautiful thing. And who will see? Such a short ride. There's no one left who can remember me. But today is mine. Here in the sunshine,
That's the shadow. That's the shadow. Alright, I'm not making that mistake again. Restart. Everyone's level 17. Okay. Gym leader time. Here, I'm gonna turn the music back on. Now that we're done grinding. I probably could have sped up the game, but I honestly forgot. I'll do that next time I have to grind. But I mean, it's part of the experience, right? Alright, let's try not to lose anybody else to this. Is there? There isn't a Pokemon on here. We should be alright. We'll start with Star. Hey Max, we're about to fight the gym leader. Yep, everybody's 17. So this guy's not as stacked as the last gym leader was. Jeez Louise. I'm Brawly, Dooford's gym leader. I'm in charge in the rough waves of these parts. He should probably be a surfer, dude, shouldn't I? Growing tough in the Black Pitch Cave, man. So you wanted to challenge me? Let's see what you're made of. Dun 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 dun. He's a... oh, they just changed...
He's a poet.
Do I have anything? Okay, I do have something that can hit this. I was about to say, uh-oh. What are the chances of that? Okay, well that's the first one down. Okay. Stealing actually might be stronger, but Sacred Fire has a chance to burn. Because Regice has a huge special defense. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you want that burn.
I do. Or do I want to switch in Wabi and try to get it toxic? That might be the play. Yeah, I think that's the play, because, I'm not too scared of its damage output. Although maybe I should be. Ow. You stop that, please. Great. Probably only get one more chance to do this. Switch back to Star. We'll go for Burns instead. That'll lower Astonish's damage too. It's so nice having that. Although, Steel Wing has a chance to raise defense. A little bit more damage. Okay, so he's gonna heal it. And I'm gonna heal. A super potion, what a stinker. Okay. These guys just keep pulling out the most wild Pokemon. Oh, I also ran into Articuno while grinding, so I've actually met all three of the legendary birds. That's funny. Mm-hmm. I still haven't gotten a defense boost. If Star didn't have Recover, this would be so much more difficult. Another super potion. Oh my god, Brawly, chill. You're just prolonging the inevitable. Oh my god. Well, I need to try for a burn. I have one Sacred Fire left. Let's go. Yeah, he's on a timer now. And I can inch him forward. My steel wings. Oh yeah, that's a lot less damage. Oh, steel wing missed. Well, Star was the star of this gym. Pun absolutely intended. Whoa, wow. You made a much bigger splash than I expected, man. You swamped me. Okay, you've got me. Take this gym badge. I'm not doing that voice anymore. I don't even know what that voice was. Whew. Knuckle badge from Brawly. This first guy was a shit ninja. That was so funny. The Knuckle badge makes all Pokemon up to level 30, even those you can entry as a Bay without question. And we'll use Flash. If you'd like to use the Technology Machine too. It's not bulk up, but it's cool. Does not contain bulk up. Let's see what it contains. Pursuit. Okay. The enemy is not going to be switching often. Whoa, it turned too bright in here. Your future is bright too. Thanks. Thanks, boss. Alright, and I think with that, I am going to end it here. I have only eaten one meal today, I think. But it was moderately recent. But I am still hungry. And we've been going for about 3.5 hours, which is pretty good. Let me take some time to see if there's anybody we can raid. Let's see, let me first check if there's anybody, any of my usuals on. Nope. Okay. Let's try to get to somewhere similarly low energy, since we've got some viewers who are sleeping. Hopefully. Let's see. She might not be quiet, but I do want to raid her, I think. Yeah, let's so we're gonna raid Blizzard Uwu. Oh, I'm just raiding somebody. Oh no, I mean, people are actually awake, but... Oh, hold on. Oh, I do have a sub to her. And she was playing Fogs, which I don't know what exactly that is. Alright, bye-bye.